On your Monday episode of Locked On Raptors, Scottie Barnes turns in one of the single greatest performances you'll ever see from a Toronto Raptor, and at the same time, maybe kept an entire country from having a full-on meltdown.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Monday, December the 29th, and I am your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server, which is abuzz with talk of Mo Bamba, of all people. Right now, come hang out with our listener community. It's 100% free to join, as always. And today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app to see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And we're off and running here on your Monday edition of the show in this week where time is fake between Christmas and New Year's. And here to talk about the Toronto Raptors picking up a pretty vital victory over the Golden State Warriors on Sunday on the heels of arguably their worst loss of the season to the Washington Wizards on Friday. It is, of course, our pal, Big V, Vivek Jacob, who was in the house last night as our Locked On Raptors correspondent with boots on the ground for Raptors Warriors. A banger of a basketball game. We will talk about Scottie Barnes. We will talk about RJ Barrett's return. We'll get to the good, the bad, and the from the weekend. But first, Big V, how the hell are you, my friend? Are you full of turkey and gravy and all kinds of delectable chocolate treats?
I am full. It is not from turkey and gravy. We do things a little bit differently at the Jacob household. We got some traditional, we call it uppam, and some chicken stew, and some biryani, and yeah. That's
I wish I was full of all of this stuff myself. Not that eating turkey 4 days in a row wasn't great, because it was, but damn, wouldn't it have been nice to have a bit of some variability thrown in there with some biryani? Damn,
yeah,
great.
There you go.
Damn.
So there's an idea for next year.
I will be speaking to my parents about it.
So moving on to the game.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
But no, like honestly, like having that Wizards game kind of sandwiched in between, Christmas Eve and Christmas, you're kind of itching and like getting to this game now, and like a really flat performance for me. Like looking at that Wizards game, it was like, okay, you had Christmas Eve off, you had Christmas Day off, like the schedule is no longer a problem, right? Like we went through the 5 and 7 days, we went through the 7 and 11 days, so fatigue shouldn't have been a factor. Scottie gets a pass because he was playing through the flu, and I think what was disappointing was, it's kind of, hey, if Scottie brings the energy and the intensity, then it's like, oh, okay, look at everyone around him playing that way. And it's like, okay, so who's going to be the one to lift the team up when he isn't? Because there's 82 games, and it's not reasonable to expect him to do it every single night, especially when he has the flu. So I think that's where, I think that's something that is maybe a development opportunity moving forward. But then coming into this game, it's like, okay, what's the response going to be? I noted, you take the Boston, Brooklyn, and Washington games, those 3 fourth quarters, they got outscored 94-49. And so you come into this game, close game at halftime, Raptors get back into it in the third. What is the response going to be in the fourth quarter? And they found a way to drag it to overtime, and then boy did they get it done in overtime. I mean, that was sensational to close that game out. Scottie Barnes was absolutely dynamite. Let us get into all of that.
Yeah, let's do that, because Scottie Barnes maybe burying the lead a little bit. We're 5 minutes into the podcast, and he put up 23, 25, and 10 to go along with 3 steals and a block against the Warriors in that overtime win. Just like putting the team on his back, doing a little bit of everything. We know the defensive stuff from him has been all defense level all season long. That was very much true in this game against the Warriors. You have Steph Curry doing his thing. I think everything else the Raptors did defensively in this game, pretty effective. And they also held Steph to 12 of 30 shooting. He's going to go off. He's going to hit his crazy circus shots and all that stuff. You withstand that and you shut everybody else down and you're in pretty good shape. Scottie, obviously fingerprints all over the defense whenever they have a good defensive game. The rebounding stuff, I mean, look, he started at center in this game. I think there's maybe some, should they start Mamu? Should they, to have someone to go up against Quentin Post or whatever? I actually liked the decision to start Ochai, considering his track record of guarding Steph Curry reasonably well. And I think Scottie Barnes had more than enough juice to go up against Quentin Post and Draymond Green in that front court. Thought he acquitted himself extremely well, as the stat line would indicate. And yeah, just like I felt this about the game he played against the Heat last week as well. There's just like a level of command to Scottie Barnes right now where he's just dictating everything that's happening on the floor, from grabbing defensive rebounds and kickstarting the transition game, from when he has the ball and he's operating from the post, just kind of knowing exactly where the pass needs to go to tilt the defense, to get the defense off balance, to create an advantage somewhere else. Like, he's just doing it all. Like the sort of casual over the head flips, no look to Brandon Ingram for buckets underneath. Like, he just has such a control of every single game he's playing right now, the Wizards game notwithstanding on account of he had the flu. And I'm just really impressed, man. And I think this game, with Scottie doing what he did to sort of get the win in the fashion the Raptors picked this win up, I don't know if a Raptors performance individually has flipped what would have been the narrative more substantially than what Scottie did last night. You come off the Wizards game. If you lose that Warriors game in the way it seemed like they might lose it, where they were kind of in it, they were leading for a time, then they just kind of give it all away in the third quarter. If you don't have that late third quarter push, if you don't have the push after the Warriors take the lead back out to double digits at the start of the fourth and come back, we're sitting here on this Monday with one of the most depressing episodes of this podcast in quite some time. Even more depressing maybe than the weekend recap from last week after the Celtics and Nets losses. And it feels pretty grim at 18-15, but 4-10 in the last 14. For Scottie to have that game, for them to win as resoundingly as they ultimately did, for him to have that sort of all-time Raptors performance that we're going to talk about alongside the DeMar 50 burgers and the Fred VanVleet 54-point game and all the best Vince Carter games and all the best Chris Bosh games, like, that's going to go down in the annals. For him to do that, to pull out a win like that, for them now to be 19-14, like, the gap in narrative talking points today is pretty remarkable to think about, had they lost that game versus what they ended up doing. Any thoughts on that? Do you also believe that Scottie Barnes may have saved an entire fan base from a collective existential crisis?
It was going to get pretty bad. I think if this had been a bad fourth quarter again, especially, I think that would have rang some big alarm bells. You drag yourself back into the game. Raptors were down 12 in the third at one point, and then they're able to cut it to 4.
One of the most thrilling 8-0 runs I can recall. Super fun stuff.
Yeah. Grady throwing it, over the back of his head to Scottie, and then Scottie the bounce pass to Mamu for the finish. Fun stuff for sure. So I think, if you had a fourth quarter like you had against the Wizards, against the Nets, against the Celtics, then that would have been extremely deflating. I think, if they, if Steph hits that, if they don't end up tying the game, if like quickly misses that shot to tie, I don't think it goes down as bad, because it was like, there's still a very competitive game, sure. You're still feeling positive about RJ coming back, and you're kind of like, okay, like, RJ didn't have his legs, so you couldn't play that much.
And sometimes you lose to Steph nonsense, and that's just the way of the world, right?
Yeah. So I think that part of it might have been okay. So I think to actually have a fourth quarter that you won to tie the game, and then for Scottie to go beyond beast mode in overtime to seal the win, I think that, that's a feel good type of performance that you needed with the way things have gone. And you know, the positives of like the offense, I think that's something that also lets you think that, hey, okay, you know what, like it's not like the offense is completely broken. Like RJ brings things to the table that no one else does on this roster, and that's absolutely necessary. And then you can see the difference when those things are being brought to the table.
100%. Like, you know, there's no guarantee that this win is going to turn the tide and everything's going to be great from here on out. But I also would not at all be shocked if we look back at December the 28th, the game against the Warriors, the Scottie Barnes 23, 25, and 10 game, and say, hey, that was the night they got RJ Barrett back. That was the night they kind of figured some things out. That's the night Scottie Barnes asserted himself. And then they kind of left their bad month of December behind them and just kind of go on to have a normal season free from the weird extremes they've been riding all season long. Like, I would not be surprised in the least if this goes down as a quote unquote turning point for the season, if you want to put the TSN branding on it. You know, that it felt that substantial. It felt that sort of Herculean from Scottie. And yeah, having RJ Barrett back certainly helps matters quite a bit too. We're going to talk about that coming up next, Big V. RJ Barrett's back. It's awesome. It's great to see him back out there hitting some threes. Not the most efficient 23 minutes he's ever played, but I don't think anyone expected that. But he did certainly help the offense look a lot smoother. We'll get to that coming up in just 1 second. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new, boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check out the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts, maybe you crack open a cold one and sit down and go through and make your picks for the night. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Back at it here with Big V, Vivek Jacob from Raptors in 7 and from the Locked On Raptors podcast, officially when he's in the house sitting in the Locked On Podcast Network seats, which is just the gondola. But that's okay. I asked for it that way. I like the view from up top as opposed to the lower bowl. I'm sorry, Big V, if that ruins your vibe when you're at games, but I'm a sit up high guy all day long. Anyway, we're too inside baseball. RJ Barrett came back last night. It was great to see him. He missed 15 games. During those 15 games, Big V, it's been well documented the Raptors had the 30th ranked offense in the NBA. Not good at all. He comes back last night, and all of a sudden, the Raptors have a very good offensive game against a very good defensive team. The number 5 defense in the NBA is held by the Golden State Warriors. The Raptors get back to running a whole bunch, 23.4% transition frequency. They have a solid half-court offensive game as well. This was if you go back since RJ Barrett missed time, the 15 games he was out, they had one game during those 15 games with a better offensive rating than they had last night. It was the game against the Lakers, who notably have a terrible defense that JJ Redick is very mad about. They also had only one game during RJ's absence with a better transition frequency than they had last night. So my question to you, Big V, is did RJ Barrett, in fact, fix everything that was wrong with his basketball team when he got back in the lineup last night, even if just for 23 minutes?
Everything that he can possibly fix.
Sure.
Obviously, there's a Jakob Poeltl issue in terms of the actual ceiling of this roster. But
yes,
in terms of what RJ brings to the table, yeah, I thought that he looked great to start. I mean, obviously, he would have had that early adrenaline and excitement about being back. And immediately, you're seeing cuts to the basket, drives, dunks in transition, a couple of threes. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was like, man, we have not seen that at the guard spot for 15 games.
What's this? Rim pressure?
So yeah, I think that was huge, and it was just a fatigue factor that kind of took him out. Like even if you look at the field goal percentage, it was like once he got tired, he was missing,
Sure.
and maybe didn't have the energy to like cut and you know penetrate towards a basket in the way he was. So yeah, I think once he gets his conditioning under him, I think it's a crucial piece of the puzzle, and we've maybe uh underestimated just how crucial he is to this team.
Yeah, I mean, credit to him who, I think in the summer, the team was like openly telegraphing, yeah, we're not maybe so sure that this guy is going to be part of the long-term plans. Plenty of reporting out there from people who are in the know about, maybe they're just going to like trade him by the deadline in an attempt to buy or whatever. He's been too good to consider that type of thing right now. Like he's just been so important to kind of making this offense function as a whole. And yeah, like you could
And the
see
rest
it
have
last
been
night.
too bad.
Yes. And I think you can just kind of see it when he's out there. Everything just gets a little bit easier for everybody, right? Brandon Ingram, 6 assists and 2 turnovers. I think it gets easier for him to make those reads when RJ Barrett's on the receiving end of a lot of those passes. I think Scottie Barnes benefits from having that level of sort of downhill force playing around him. I think Emmanuel quickly looked comfortable last night, not having to be everything for the offense. And it was great to see him with some clutch, important shot making when things mattered most. And that wasn't even when RJ was on the floor necessarily, but I just think there's just like a cascading effect of getting RJ Barrett back in the lineup that just makes everything easier for this team. And the transition stuff too, right? Like this is a team that has always spammed transition as a way to kind of juice their offensive stats. And they haven't done it nearly as like they were the second ranked frequency team in transition while RJ was out, but significantly below where they've been as like far and away the number one transition frequency team when he's been in the lineup. And it was great to see them get back and run basically a quarter of their possessions last night in transition. It's just the thing they do well and the thing RJ really helps with. And so, yeah, really excellent to see. Do you think that that's just as simple as like the offense is fine now? Like they're going to start climbing back up the offensive charts with RJ Barrett back? Obviously, not having Poeltl available limits them somewhat, and we'll get to that. There will be some announcement on Jakob Poeltl's injury status sometime today, likely the second we finish recording this podcast, which would be very convenient. But we'll obviously keep you posted on that, and we'll talk about it on tomorrow's show. But are you just feeling like, okay, you know what, the offense, that it sucked while RJ was out, but he's back, it just like things are fine? Or is there still stuff under the hood you're a little bit worried about now that RJ's back, and maybe there's still some sort of pieces to be filled in to make this a fully functioning offense?
Well, I'd say that there's maybe still more consistency needed going up against a zone defense. There's still going to be those minutes where RJ is off the court, and you're going to need that kind of rim pressure, that kind of penetration, and going back to the Wizards loss and some of like the downside of the losing stretch that we've seen. I think the Raptors ideally would have maybe another dog on the team, and it's like, oh, okay, Scottie's got the flu today, no problem. I'm gonna be the one that mixes things up and gets the intensity where it needs to be, and gets this team competing how it should be. So yeah, I think those are maybe elements that are missing right now, that have to, either someone on the roster has to kind of mold themselves into that guy, or against the zone. I think a while back on the pod, I kind of was like, hey, if CMB can kind of become a nail guy, that could be something cool for this team. And
who needs Colin Murray Boyles to be a nail guy when you have Grady Dick doing it like they had last night?
Fair enough. Yeah, and then we'll see how Brandon Ingram's decision making progresses too, right? I think we've seen the downside of Ingram's decision making over this stretch, where maybe the ball sticks a bit too much, maybe he's taking on a bit too much. So does that just stabilize now with RJ back, or are there still certain possessions where it's like, hey, there's got to be ways to get it out of his hands quicker, or make decisions quicker, or what, or maybe not take certain shots here and there.
Yeah, totally fair. I do think, like, we talked about this with Joe Wolfond a couple weeks ago. We've talked about it a lot since RJ Barrett went out, and I've used the term equilibrium a lot to sort of, just try to discuss where the Raptors feel off, and their equilibrium has absolutely been off with no RJ Barrett in there. And obviously Jakob Poeltl is like kind of necessary to achieve full balance with their offense, because he does kind of add in a pick and roll component and amplifies Emmanuel quickly in a way that they just don't really have right now with other guys in there. Although I do like that they've run a little bit more Scottie IQ pick and roll of late, and that's been nice to see. But I still think, though, the sort of complementary skills, the lack of overlap, the ways all the different pieces kind of fit together with what they do well and what they don't do well, it just is so much more of a complete puzzle picture with RJ on the floor. Even if there's no Poeltl, you throw in Hmmm, you throw in your smaller lineups with Ochai Agbaji, or hell, Jakob Poeltl, if he's going to play like he did the last couple of games. And then all of a sudden, like, those pieces I do just think fit in a way that's going to be conducive to pretty good offense. They might not reach the top 5 clip they were at to start the season. That was ridiculous. It was really built on some incredible 3-point shooting, and also, Brandon Ingram just like hitting every single mid-range shot he's ever taken, which happened again last night. For some reason, the threes not going last night, but every 2 he took seemed like it was going bottom. But I do think there is like a sort of just like a healthier ecosystem for offense with RJ Barrett on the floor, just kind of providing that extra offensive talent and downhill pressure and all that stuff. And also like just the eager 3-point shooting, right? Like, I think that's been a slept on part of the RJ in Toronto experience, is like, I don't think he's turned down an open 3 since he came to Toronto. He is just ready to let it fly whenever it comes to him. He took 5 of them in 23 minutes last night. I think that's going to continue. It's just like a really sort of sneaky amount of volume you get from him at a pretty decent accuracy clip too. And so, yeah, it does just feel like a way more harmonious offensive environment with Barrett in the lineup. And it's really nice to see. And then, you throw Hmmm on the bench now. You get to have him sort of slide back down in the role of responsibility and all of that too. And I think that helps matters quite a bit as well. Big V will come back on the other side here, and we're going to get into the good, the bad, and the from the weekend that was, including talk of Jakob Poeltl and the newest Toronto Raptor, Mo Bamba. He'll fix everything, right? Back at it here with Big V, Vivek Jacob, talking about the Raptors weekend that was 1-1 against the Wizards and the Warriors. And it's time for the good, the bad, and the It's the way we wrap every single episode of this here podcast on the heels of a Toronto Raptors basketball game. A thing we liked, a thing we didn't like, and that's got us a little intrigued from the latest in Toronto Raptors hoops. And we'll start with the good. And I will just say it, I kind of alluded to it before the break. Jakob Poeltl back from the dead. Love to see that. In a game that everything was bad and terrible against the Wizards, he was not bad and terrible. 15 points and even 0 in a game they lost by 21. 2 of 4 from downtown, and then plays crunch time, plays 33 minutes against the Warriors, plays all of the closing regulation and overtime. Really effective, plus 15, 18 points, 4 of 7 from downtown, hit his twos. Just like a really nice, tidy game from Jakob Poeltl, who continues to be an excellent on-ball defender, did a really good job trying to hound Steph along with the other Raptors guards. And I just think he's, if he can be like that, I mean, there's just like a really good role player sitting in here with Jakob Poeltl. It's been inconsistent. It's waxed and waned. He has had moments where he just looked kind of like a little bit physically overmatched and all of that, but over the weekend, I think a great glimpse into what Jakob Poeltl can provide to this team as one of the key bench cogs, that Darko Rajakovic has in his employ. Really great to see from Jakobi. He's my good. What you got for yours, Big V?
Yeah, I mean, love that choice. I will go with Ochai Agbaji. I thought that, I think offensively, he has started to show more signs of life. I think there's just more intention that he's playing with. I think there's more aggression, more confidence. With
Rim
the way
pressure's
he's
back.
Yeah. And I think that's been needed. Early, I thought they were able to get him those looks inside, and they were kind of going to him, and it was like, okay, yeah, he's got the advantage here. Let's just ride it out. And so got him some nice, easy looks. Defensively, I think, both Jacoby and Ochai got caught falling for pump fakes maybe a little bit too much. But hey, that's life and going up against Steph Curry. But I thought, they were fully committed to the task. And if you watch them, inbounds plays, whatever it was, when, they were top blocking Steph, face guarding him, it was like, hey, this is your assignment. Like, don't even think about what else is going on. Just try to make the catch as difficult as possible. And yeah, I think both of them did an admirable job. Like, at the end of the day, Steph going 12 for 30 is a win. And, I think all that work early of top blocking and face guarding him and being as physical as possible paid off late. Where maybe Steph missed some shots that you would expect him to make.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I referred to the Walter, Ochai, Grady Dick trio as the Triforce of Nothingness last week. They got something out of two of those guys, and that's great. And, Grady, I think, it continues to be an adventure for Grady Dick. For some reason, he's just like all defense, no offense now. It's kind of crazy. I made the joke in the Locked On Raptors Discord last night. It's kind of wild how Grady Dick has just become Matisse Thybulle, but hey, I guess you take it. I would like to see the offense come along from him, but if you're getting something from even one of those three guys, let alone two, I think they have enough in terms of other bench depth to really get by here, especially when Colin Murray-Boyles gets back from being sick. And yeah, it's just it's nice to have those guys contributing. So Ochai and Jacoby, I think, both noble and rightful goods in this one. What you got for your bad, Big V? I will say, I was Friday, I did not watch the Raptors Wizards game. Okay, I'll admit it. I didn't watch it. I was having Christmas merriment and then driving in a snowstorm to and from Oshawa. It was a busy day that I didn't have time to carve out to watch Raptors Wizards. And as the weekend progressed, I just grew less and less excited by the idea of watching that game in full. I caught the condensed version this morning. It looked real bad. The defense looked completely hopeless and upsettingly bad against a very bad Wizards team. So it is my bad, but I will defer to you, Big V, if you want to fill in the gaps a little bit on my lack of deep insights, X's and O's wise, into why the Raptors lost to the Wizards. It sucked. It was very bad. You shouldn't lose to the Wizards by 21 and have your worst defensive performance of the season against that team. But I don't know if you wanted to add anything in there to illuminate my bad even further.
Yeah, no, that's my bad too. I think that looking at that game, the Raptors this season, if you want to look at a maturity standpoint, a professional standpoint, I think there's still room to grow in terms of not playing down to their opponent. Yeah. And I think there's been several occasions of that where it's like, okay, you're going to play with your food. Guess what? If you give them enough confidence, all of a sudden, second half, you're in a game, fourth quarter, you're in a game, and then you create the potential for what's happened in some of these games against sub 500 teams. And the way they came out in that first quarter was extremely disappointing and discouraging. It was Kenny Atkinson in the Cavs game when they lost against the Rockets, who said, hey, we lost. I knew this was kind of a lost cause after the first quarter. We didn't show up for the fight. The Raptors did not show up for the fight against the worst team in the conference. And I think that the defensive intensity was the biggest thing, right? Like, we've seen the offensive struggles without RJ, so you've kind of come to expect that. But the defense has consistently been there. And I go back to the point I made earlier. It's like, okay, just because Scottie has the flu does not make an excuse for everyone else to not have the appropriate intensity. Like, this is an opportunity for you to pick him up. Overall, he's been very consistent this season. He's been really damn good. So this was an opportunity for you guys to pick him up. And you didn't do that. So that's the part that was really frustrating to see. And hopefully just a good lesson after having 2 days to come into that game.
Yeah, man, like the early on in the season when they were winning all those games against bad teams, it was like, oh, this is encouraging. This is what good teams do against bad teams. And to have a few now, the Hornets, the Nets, the Wizards, where you haven't won those games, like, that's as much an indictment of the team as any of the losses against better teams where they've kind of lost the rope late or whatever, right? Like, you should take care of business against the dregs, and you're going to have to in this Eastern Conference where every single loss is valuable in the standings. Let's go to the shall we, Big V? Jakob Poeltl, the Toronto Raptors, kind of ominously saying there will be an update on his condition today. As we record right now, it's 10:17 a.m. I don't think there has been an update just yet. You can check me on that if I'm wrong, Big V, because you're probably looking at your email more than I am while I'm currently speaking at the moment. I can check while you're talking if you want after this. But in addition to that, the Raptors go and sign Mo Bamba to what could end up being just like a 12-day contract. It's a non-guaranteed deal that can be sort of moved off the books within 12 days when 10-day season starts. Boring cap stuff, but a little look at Mo Bamba here. If you don't remember Mo Bamba, former lottery pick, 6th overall pick, I believe, by the Magic back, like 8 seasons ago. I can't believe he's been around for 8 seasons. It's kind of insane. Very large, very large. That's kind of all I can say about Mo Bamba based on his NBA career so far. And look, man, I know there's been this sort of clamoring in the fan base. You got to go sign a big. You got to get a big. I'm happy they didn't go and spend assets for a big because I think Nick Richards or the like, very similar to Mo Bamba in terms of impact they would have on this team. I don't think there's going to be a huge impact given by Mo Bamba on this team, if I'm being totally real. And I think we saw last night with the way Scottie Barnes manned the 5, you're going to be happy with Scottie / Mamu / Murray Boyles playing that spot in 90% of situations over Mo Bamba just because they're better at it, even if they're not centers by trade than Mo Bamba is. But for instances where you need some size, okay, cool. You have a guy now to throw out there. Do I think this changes things significantly? No. Do I feel better if there's a long-term absence here for Jakob Poeltl necessarily if Mo Bamba's on the team? No, but it's something, and it hopefully kind of eases the sort of rancor among the fan base that's been agitating for a kind of move like this. But I guess the real is like, what the hell are we going to learn about Jakob Poeltl today? We'll talk about it on tomorrow's show, of course, but you really hope that it's not something like worst case scenario adjacent. Well, I don't know, Big V. Is this your as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Mo Bamba, I'll push back a little bit, just like, people looking at that Scottie game and thinking, oh, this is what he can do at the 5. I would say this was a byproduct of the Warriors also not having, a big that can really dominate. And size has been an issue for them as well. And so having Quentin Post as your starting center caters to Scottie, thriving in that position. So I do think it was important to get him help. I do think that they've lumped a little too much on him, especially in the absence of Jakob. Like, hey, now it's all on you to protect the rim and grab the rebounds and this and that. So I do think he's needed help, and I'm glad that they've got someone in Bamba to help do that. If you can't beat him, join him. He took the Winter Showcase away from the 905. So they said, hey, why don't you come join us? And so obviously they got a good look at him, and Sportsnet's Michael Grange reported that he kind of, surveyed the landscape to see, hey, what's been the knock on Mo Bamba? Is it attitude? Is it this? And based on what he found out is, it's not that he's a locker room problem. He seems like a good kid, this and that. He just doesn't seem to have maybe the appropriate level of dedication and commitment, professionalism. And so is that something that, pretty much having a year away from the league, being in the G League has given him a wake-up call? Is that something the Raptors can push him to a higher level with, being, a good culture compared to, I mean, his last stint was just 4 games with the New Orleans Pelicans. So I think those are the things that you maybe look at and say, hey, can you turn those things around and see what it is? But the way the contract is structured as well, it's kind of a 12-day. They've got till Jan 10th, I believe, to make a decision on whether to guarantee him for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's promises within that, just because, hey, there were probably other teams kind of in the mix as well, and maybe they had to go a little bit above and beyond, a little wink wink, to get him to sign with the Raptors. So we'll see how that materializes, but I do think that this was a move that was needed. I do think you needed some size in there, and even with this Warriors game, when it looked like they were losing, it was frustrating seeing the number of offensive rebounds the Warriors were getting, and getting those possessions back. So, I think you're right in terms of, like, we'll see how much of a difference he actually makes, but I do think it's just it's important enough to just get a bit of an exhale in certain stretches of the game.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, I still think I'd prefer to see them just kind of rock with Murray, Boyles, Barnes, and Mamu in most situations, barring some gigantor being out there on the other side. But nice to have a tall guy around, I suppose. I just I caution against anyone who's like, they're saved. This is going to be, a big time move that kind of shifts the course of the season. It's really going to come down to the prognosis for Jakob Poeltl more than anything else. And I don't think Mo Bamba is someone who's going to, shape your fortunes as a franchise. I kind of look at it akin to like an Orlando Robinson level signing. And Orlando Robinson was fine. He was a guy. He soaked up some minutes. Maybe that's all they need. But I'm just not sitting here thinking, okay, season's been turned around because Mo Bamba's here, baby. But I'd love to be proven wrong. It'd be great. It'd be awesome to see him have a renaissance.
That's what RJ is for.
That's true. 100%. The turning point is RJ Barrett himself. We're going to leave it there, Big V. Thank you so much, as always, for rocking with the show out there. Anything you want to promote for the good people, my friend?
Usual stuff. Raptors in 7, doing a bunch of basketball stuff at Sportscasting, so you can check that out. It'll all be up on my socials at Vivek M. Jacob. And just hope everyone had a great holidays.
Hell yeah, brother. You can follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. You can also join the Locked On Raptors Everydayer Club. $5 a month, $50 for the year. It gets you ad-free versions of the show every single day, plus access to a Locked On Discord, among other cool perks. And it's great. If you want to support the show, it's a great way to do it. You can join the Discord as well. That's always free. The Locked On Raptors Discord, link in the description of the podcast. Come hang out. Great little community we got building around the show. And we'll be back again on Tuesday to talk about Raptors magic and also whatever we learned about Jakob Poeltl. Have that to look forward to as well, or not look forward to, depending on the nature of that news. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye, Big V. I'm going to shoot this Grady style, like that's out of bounds save. Why not? Right? Go Grady.
You gonna find Scottie? Oh, all right. We are never going.
I'm not. Yeah, no. I'm abandoning that one for good. Bye.